Hey guys, we are back and I am going to talk, it should hopefully be a quick one, for those verses that I snatched out when we talked about Genesis chapter 4 before. So, Genesis chapter 4, we talked about it. That was Cain and Abel and their whole situation and how that all went down. And then I pulled out verses 23 and 24 and I wanted to talk about them separately. And so, this right here is just going to be Genesis chapter 4, verses 23 and 24. Okay. So in the prior thing, Cain is actually in exile. He moves off. He has a wife. And then there are 5 generations named. And in the 5th generation, Lemech is born. And so I want to talk a little bit about Lemech and what he says and what he does. There's 2 verses that are very, very short and quick, but I want to talk about them because sometimes we don't understand that we are speaking curses onto ourselves and not understanding where they're coming from because we just repeat something that we heard. So Lemech is 5 generations down. So Cain has a son who has a son who has a son who has a son who gives birth to Lemech, or is the father of Lemech. And in verse 23, Lemech talks to his wives. He has 2 wives. It's Ada or Ada. I want to say it's Ada. Ada and Zillah. And so what he says to them is, listen, wives of Lemech. He comes in boasting, like clearly they know who their husband is. And so he comes in, wives of Lemech, listen to what I have to say. So he comes in boasting and proud and loud. He said, I have killed a young man for striking me. This man hit me and I killed him. And he came in boasting and bragging about it. He came in with the, hey, stop what y'all doing. Stop what y'all doing. Everybody listen up. You wives of Lemech, you women that I run, y'all people that I'm in charge of, I want you to listen to what I'm saying. And I'm not saying he's in charge of them because they are his wives. I'm saying he's in charge of them because he's kind of bossy. You wives of Lemech, you people who live in my house, I want you to listen to what I have to say. Drop everything. Don't do nothing else. Just listen to what I'm saying. Today I killed somebody. Like, could you imagine coming home and just, that's the kind of nugget that you drop? Not, hey, I have been out hunting and I have enough food to get us through the winter. I need y'all to get this. I need y'all to, put this meat up and how preserve it however it needs to preserve so that we're going to be covered for the winter. It's not, hey guys, we're going to move because I have an opportunity to buy some land in another area and we're going to move and we're going to have some greatness. He didn't come in there with any of that. He came in here like a whole fool. I killed somebody today. and he says, he hit me, so I killed him. It wasn't even. Like, it wasn't like, oh, we got into a fight and he hit me and I hit him back. Like, I made it even. He came in and was like, this man hit me and I killed him. He bragged. What he says is, I killed a man for wounding me. He didn't come in and say, man, this man hit me and I'm like, I accidentally killed him and it was a tussle and it got out of control and I'm sorry and I don't know. None of that. He came in bragging. I killed somebody today, y'all. I killed somebody today. I killed somebody. Like, he came in bragging on it. And he said all he did was hit me. He struck me. He wounded me. He hurt me. He took it to the extreme. And so in verse 24, it says, if Cain is avenged 7-fold, truly Lemech 77-fold. So we're going to scroll a bit back up to the verse where Cain is cursed by God for killing his brother. Because again, this is a murder that occurred. This was not something that was, oh, my brother hit me and I hit him back and now we both got black eyes. It was a murder of his brother. And what Lemech is bragging on is murdering someone. Not it got away from me. Not it was a tussle and he fell. I don't know what to do. It wasn't that. He came in like, hey, guess up, everybody. I killed somebody today. So this was a bragging moment for him. And so he has decided that he's going to take on the same protection that God gave Cain. The protection that God gave Cain was not protection. It was a curse. It was a punishment. It was that he was going to have to live out his punishment. It was not that he was being protected by God and that was going to be avenged for his death. It was so that there was a punishment steep enough that would prevent people from doing it. Because if I killed the fugitive Cain and it was like, oh man, you shouldn't have done that. Go on, sit down for a few days. You know, you got 60 days and counting. Then it would be a different response. Somebody would be like, hey, it's worth it, man. It's worth it. I knew his brother. I liked him. It's worth it. But by God putting that punishment on there, that sevenfold meant that people wouldn't want to touch it, so that he would be forced to live out this exile alone from God, alone from relationship with him. So when Lemech jumped out there in verse 24 and said, if Cain is avenged sevenfold, I'm truly Lemech. I'm going to be avenged 77-fold. Now, I don't know why he speaks in third person and calls himself by his own name. I think that's part of his bragging. But he assigned a curse to himself in his effort to say, oh, I'm going to be protected. If Cain was protected for killing his brother, I'm going to be protected from killing this young man. And he assigned a curse on himself because he decided that he was going to take what God said to somebody else and make it a benefit to him. And you can't change what God says. You can't do that. So I just want to caution us about just assigning things to ourselves. Understand what it is that you're connecting yourself to. And don't just heap things on your own head for your own benefit. If Cain is avenged sevenfold, truly, like you can't decide that. You can't decide that God is going to honor that. I mean, if my grandmama was protected when she was out here doing this, then I know I'm good. No, you're not. You don't know what situation God or covenant or promise that God had to your grandmother while she was out doing whatever she was doing. You don't know that. I mean, if you can do it, then I can do it. No, you can't. It's not how it works. You don't operate under the same level of grace. Not everybody has the same level of grace. I say it all the time. My husband is protected. My husband has a level of grace that not everybody has. We are not always protected and covered in the same way. He has the ability to touch things and things go well. I don't have that. I don't have it. I have a very different thing, a very different gift, a very different level of grace. I touch stuff and I'm out of order. It's all out of order. Everything comes falling apart. It does not work for me. So you have to understand that you can't just decide that because God protected this one person, he's going to protect you in the same situation. You weren't called to that situation. You weren't called to that space. The protection that was on Cain was so that he could live his punishment. The protection that Lemech is trying to call down, God is not going to be like, up 77 times. No, God didn't say that. You cannot decide that God has decided something for you because that's what you want. He came in bragging thinking he was going to be covered. I don't know what happens because the Bible doesn't tell me what happens at this point. So we don't know. I don't know what happens. I don't know if they come and get him up out of there because they're going to avenge this young man who he struck out at and met with more violence. So make sure when you are doing things, don't connect yourself to the worst of your family. Don't connect yourself to the worst of your people, the worst of what the world has, what your family had to offer the world. Connect yourself to the best. Don't say, oh, no, my great-grandfather was mean, man, and I'm just like him. No, be like that gentle grandmother that kind of calmed him or soothed situations. Be the peacemaker in your family. Don't decide that you're going to connect to it. Nah, we always been like this. This is how we are. Be different. Be different. Don't connect yourself to the worst of what your family had to offer. Connect yourself to the best. So again, let's try and make sure that we are being peacekeepers and that we are providing opportunities to people. Let's meet people where they are and not decide that I gotta escalate. I gotta one up. If he hit me, I'm gonna kill him. You don't gotta do either. You can walk away. You can leave it alone. It does not have to be a thing. And then don't assign things to yourself because somebody else had that privilege. That privilege is not yours and you don't know why they have it. Cain had that sevenfold sitting over him, that retaliation of sevenfold from God, because God needed him to live out his punishment. Do not decide that is the same, that somehow that's a covering and a protection for you. It's not. So we're going to live this thing out. We're going to be peaceful. We are going to find opportunities to change and be different. And we're not going to connect to the worst of our family. We're going to connect to the best. And if you don't have a lot of best in your family, be the best. Create the best by being different and being better than what you thought you could be. So y'all have a fantastic one. Go be blessed.